Worth coming back for? Don't know yet. It certainly could be that way, and it depends what you like in the game. But I mean, I immediately like this zone more than Shadowlands stuff. Put it that way. That said, I mean, I would say that this is something that fundamentally appeals to me more. And the music is Sessions Diana from Riot Games. They make very good creator-friendly music that you will not get copyright struck for, which is pretty neat of them to do. Also, I forgot about a mechanic. Everyone always likes the zones, lol. Well, that's the thing. Blizzard Giant do a good job there. I do like these zones more because they're more wide open. They just feel like they feel like more of a world than the kind of overly tight-looking places, you know? Or it just feels like it's just a bunch of POIs that are very close together. Ian in interviews has talked specifically about that feeling, that they actually want more negative space between the POIs so that it feels like more of a real world. And that's the thing. If something is too dense, it's, yes, more efficient to navigate to the thing you want to do as a game. But a part of a game, too, is the fantasy and the experience, and it ends up being at the cost of that. So I think they've really... they've moved things in a good direction this time around. Yeah, Bastion was pretty wide open, and funny enough, it was my favorite zone. My biggest letdown was Ardenweald. I just did not like Ardenweald. It was the one that I thought I would have liked the most, but... Nah, I just think it was pretty lame. Like, the story there, you know, all the fucking... the Gorm and stuff, like, it just felt like it didn't really go anywhere. Maybe, you know, some sort of situation where they had bigger plans at one stage, but it just... Oh, I need to actually pay attention to the game. How about I do that? And I need to finish my talents too, so that I have some defensives. Oh, that's actually... That's too many, boys. Whoops. Well, that's stupid. Ardenweald needed to cut the Drust content. Yeah, and, you know, the Drust content could have been really good, but they just didn't... They didn't commit. It's like they didn't commit to anything. They just did, like, a small amount of a bunch of things. So it felt like... Yeah, it felt like there was probably more Drust story at some stage, and they just didn't really... You know, they just didn't get to do any of their visions, ideally. It's Blizzard. They'll kind of give you the weird Disney version. You know, they're not going to be like the Persona games or Final Fantasy XIV, where, you know, it feels a lot more authentic to the, you know, to the inspirations that they sort of use when they're informing their world. So one of the items I just got there, one of these, it's a customization item for the Drake. So basically you unlock those appearances, and it means you can customize your dragons like significantly more, which I think is a pretty damn cool feature this time around. Anyway, you're about to see a character. That's certainly going to be something. Disney versions are deep compared. Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like, visually, Ardenweald had good moments, but yeah, the gameplay was a letdown. Do you feel Tomb of Sargeras is badly tuned? You caused a big thread in the... I caused a big thread on the WoW forums about Legion raid tuning since it didn't work in the Shadowlands squish. Did I? Did I create a forum thing recently? I mean, I wasn't claiming... I mean, if you're talking about the Tomb of Sargeras Mythic stream that I did, I wasn't making any claim about it being hard. Is that just like forum people latching onto something? I don't know. It's the WoW official forums. To be honest, they're a very bizarre place. People get very, very angry. And if it's any sort of, you know, online person, they hate online people. It's pretty fucking funny. Oh, so I actually created a forum thing? That's really funny. I wish they wouldn't make alphas and beta for influencers to ruin the experience for everyone. Ain't that... I mean, they obviously know that there's a marketing component. That much is true. But no, WoW needs its alphas and betas currently in order for testing to be successful, and so that you guys get a more solid launch. Trust me, like, it would not be good if there was no alpha or beta. And it's like, if they're going to do it anyway, from their perspective, it's like, you may as well just let streamers in, because they're going to get a bunch of free PR. right? Like free, perfectly targeted PR that, you know, otherwise you'd be spending millions to get a similar amount of effectiveness, right? And they can just get it for free, you know, if they kind of go the influencer way. So it does make a lot of sense. Now, they don't want to be in that position forever. Ian actually said that, you know, eventually... Uh-oh. I did not hit the self-heal button. Ian said that eventually they want to get to a place where they don't have to do the alphas and the betas as much. You know, they don't have to test the full expansion. He just said they're not there yet. And it's better that he's honest with that, because, look, if they tried to do no PTR, no alpha, and then the thing came out and it was super buggy, I mean, that would just be a disaster, right? Like, they would get clowned on. Perhaps it's the sort of thing where they're building up their internal QA. How do resources work for the Evoker? Pretty simple. Your main resource is Essence. So your abilities either cost mana or Essence or both. Now there's a few things, like whenever you use an empowered ability, one of the talents means that you will generate more Essence for a bit of time after that. There's a thing called Essence Burst, which can make your Living Flame and Azure Strike have a 20 and 15% chance, respectively, to proc an Essence Burst, which lets you use an Essence ability, which is either Disintegrate or Pyre, for free. So, it's pretty sweet. So you do have that, like, reactive proc gameplay, and there's another one that means you can keep up to 2 of those at any one time, which eventually could mean that you could do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could drop 5 pyres into an AoE pack at once, which would be pretty damn strong. Now, what's going on here? We have to go down. The dive is neat. Sometimes it feels like you should go a little bit faster in the dive, but you certainly do, you do get a lot of speed. Colby dropped a super saying, you know how the Drakpir perform older content. Well, I soloed Tomb of Sargeras Mythic back there on Saturday as the Drakthir, and it was fine. Also, look who it is. It's Syndragosa. It's good to be back, or activated as it were. There's so much to do. I'm glad to give whatever aid I can. So this isn't actually Syndragosa. Actual Syndragosa is dead. But yes, she is a sort of a Spectre character. So yeah, I guess this POI, you know, it's a little bit of the Nexus. Yeah, you can now choose your Visage. Yeah. By default, you'll always be in your Visage, even when you are mounted. So here's the thing. Could I speak to this Flightmaster and go back over there? Yeah. But why on earth would I do that? I could just... I could just go fast, though. Now, let's try and do this so that I can generate another point of vigor. Black Arrow said, I like watching your clips channel. I feel that there is somewhere a live stream. Can you tell me where I can watch the live stream? Yeah, on this channel here, Bellular Warcraft, there is a area of... there's like a playlist that we maintain. It's just all the streams and stuff unlisted. We can't put the streams public, like on your sub feed, because it kills our regular videos. It's what, like, Ludwig found that out as well. You have to immediately put them into an unlisted playlist. So that's what we do, and the playlist is available on the channel page. There's a fun one. Tom Resnick dropped a $5 super saying, hey, long time sub. Stop WoW when Korthia dropped. Has the lore of Shadowlands been mentioned by NPCs in Dragonflight or Death on the cluster? Well, I assume you mean clusterfuck it is right now. Not that I've seen, but I've only seen a tiny bit. I mean, there are ways where Death could be connected because of decay. You know, decay magic and Galacrond, right? Because some of her enemies here are the followers of Galacrond. So I think... little hyena's dancing. So I think about, you know, because of that, we probably will see some Death. I am very sure, though, that they are not daft enough to bring up Death in a way where it's going to feel like the Shadowlands. I just think it's extremely unlikely that will happen because, you know what? It would be an insane thing to do. It would not be the done thing. Oh, here's another ability, so I can go boom, drop a bunch of pyres, and when a pyre... So it doesn't do that much damage, because I haven't talented into it properly. But with one of its talents, pyre can actually bounce, which means it kind of like, you know, it hits again. It's a pretty neat little thing. Oh, hey, got a $10 super from Goblinoris. Yeah, who said, aren't you worried about how the Drakthir Geoset armor bits at character creation actually are a loss of customization? Isn't it less transmog freedom? Basically, if Drakthir were able to wear the same armor that our player characters can, that would be so much extra work. Because they'd have to go back to, like... Yeah, they would have to go back to all the armor in the game, and for all of the 3D stuff, like the helms, etc., they would have to remake that for the Drakthir. Because did you know for every single helm they put into World of Warcraft, they have to make, like, a version for every playable race. And I think the benefit to Blizzard of the allied races is that because they use the same core structure as the other races in the game, a Blood Elf, or, you know, like whatever allied race they're based on, like, they can basically wear the same gear. Right, so like a Draenei and a Lightforged Draenei, so or, you know, the various different Taurens. So I think that's the situation. Good, it didn't bug. Because you see when that bugs, you can't move, so the NPCs just stand there and they kill you. So yeah, it's unfortunate for that. It would be nice if they added more armor to the Geoset, though. Right? More of that customization armor. Perhaps if more of that was unlockable, I think those would all be extremely sensible things to do with the game if possible. Worth noting, your tier gear will still be on your Visage form, but I know that's not what everyone wants, so yeah, is what it is. Now then, we've got a member message, which is basically like a super chat that members get to drop every single month. So Dark Souls said, hope to see fast balance changes. No MMO seems to have that. Even FF14 is, is bad with obvious things taking major patches, looking at machinist damage. I don't know. I mean, Blizzard did a lot of talk about how they had, they could just do aura buffs, which would allow them to hotfix damage at any point. But then it's like, okay, well, why didn't you deal with Warlocks sooner than you did in the most recent patch? And it's like, well, I have no idea. Yeah, the sooner the better. I guess one thing about the WoW PTR thing that is good is it does mean WoW's never going to have a Kaiten situation. If you're not aware, there's an ability Kaiten that is extremely liked for the Samurai in FF14. And for reasons that I think are sensible enough, logically, they took it away. But the resultant game feel implication just wasn't good. People liked Kaiten, they wanted to keep it, but because there was no PTR, it just launched without Kaiten, it launched, Kaiten wasn't there, and people are just like, what the hell? I really like that, now it's gone. This feels bad. So, certainly it would be nice to have no PTR, but if there was some sort of testing for FF14, the Samurais, they'd probably still have Kaiten, and they'd be happy with that. I guess the decently strong things, like I can just kind of open up with a big old fire breath in these guys. But the one that'll really do damage is Eternity Surge. Oh dear. So what I can do, right, is I can stun all these boys. And this is really not ideal. Oh, fucking hell, well, with him appearing, it certainly is not ideal. I can do that, and I can kind of fly over them all for a bit more damage. Use some Azure Strikes. And, I mean, yeah, they all just got wrecked, didn't they? Burst DPS, that is the thing that this class is, like, super geared towards. We got a $5 super from Mary Poppincaps, who said, my only complaint about tier sets is they look quite homogenous. Yeah, he says, I like the much older tier sets that are more class-themed than expansion-themed. Yeah, it's certainly a change they've made, and they've always flip-flopped around that. Wasn't Legion, they said they just wanted to make really cool ones for the class instead of the raid, and that was after they'd done that for a few expansions. Remember Siege of Orgrimmar, which, like, sometimes the siege gear would look great, other times it wouldn't look as great. I guess it's always a balance, and they're still not sure how to strike that. I do think the gear looks cool. Like, I'll give them that. But I understand where you're coming from, for sure. Like, the more gear, the merrier. Hopefully, whatever pipeline improvements they've made just help us with more gear, more customizations, more of all that. So the way that this works, basically, right, is I want to keep disintegrates. You know, it's like my filler, but I always want to have enough that I can do 2 charged blasts in a row. It's funny, you know, it creeps up on you, but this truly, like, it is an advanced class in some ways of how you'll actually play it in realistic scenarios. Leafhawk Gaming dropped a super saying, whatever happened to the Blades of the Fallen Prince? Didn't see them in Shadowlands. Isn't there still a fragment of Ner'zhul and Arthas inside? Oh, shit. Is there? I mean, what happened is that they were drained to remove the corruption from Sargeras' sword. I mean, that's why, you know, all of the artifact weapons from Legion have been done away with. That's the narrative reason, is like we had to sacrifice them to like contain the corruption, contain the power of the sword. So, I mean, if there is a plot hole there, I don't know if it'll be resolved. It would be a bit weird, though, if they decided to pump it full of Fel corruption and then just sort of say, hey there, congratulations, gamer. You just put a bunch of Fel energy in the Ashbringer. That's going to be a problem down the line. I guess that would be kind of neat, but it could feel a bit cheap as well. It's always that thing of, you know, the player makes the mistake that causes the big plot to happen, and it's kind of good because it means, you know, all the plot lines are kind of, like, nicely interconnected. But it can have the downside of, like, your character is just written as a dipshit who doesn't think, you know, doesn't think ahead of themselves. Which I guess is always a thing in MMOs. Like, there's even times where the Warrior of Light is perhaps a little silly. But if Xal'atath stayed in the dagger, why not those two? Oh shit, you're right. Yeah, Xal'atath did stay in the dagger. I guess that dagger's got special stuff. You could perhaps make an argument that Xal'atath was able to, you know, get her way out of that situation. She's very smart after all.